Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 16th, 2023 at approximately 4:27 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the ones I personally live my life by. Now, with this in mind, we are not talking about tools that may work for some people or that could work for you. We are talking about tools that have worked and are working for me and literally thousands of others. Now, to that end, this is an open topic today. So just to give you a quick reminder, if you've got questions, even if it isn't on the topic we're discussing at the same time, put your questions in the chat room in all caps, or at least partial caps, or even put that fine little wavy hand sigil to let me know you've got a question. I'm not guaranteeing I'll catch all of them, but I will do my best. And if you've got a question I'm not going to answer, I'll come right out and tell you I'm not going to answer it. I may even be able to tell you why. Okay, in all likelihood, I will be able to. Now, before I go any further into this, we have Chad through the door with the gold, and Cowie has arrived with the silver. Glad you guys could make it. I keep questioning on some days, like my last 2 days have just been ridiculous for the amount of sleep I've ended up having to get at stupid times because of the temperature. But with that in mind, let's see, I just got a mark. Oh, this is the 16th, so that's okay. So we go there, 15 to 16. See, I've actually not, I get up and my sleep gets a little screwy. Because, last night I managed to get 4 hours of sleep, which was great. And then I just got an hour before I got up about half an hour ago. But I do have a list of things I'm working on here. Okay, of different projects. Now, the newsletter that I've got, that I put out now, I've got a couple of minor adjustments to make to it. And there we have, what do we got? We have Steve Knox has arrived with the bronze. And Joe, welcome aboard. You've made it in with honorable mention. I've got a few minor adjustments to make to the newsletter. So going out on the 17th, it will be out. Okay, there's no question there. And some of you are getting the physical copy. That too will go out tomorrow. Okay. And then, once it's in the mail, I can't do a thing about the length of time it takes to get there. But what do we got here? Now, tomorrow, we're already scheduled here for tomorrow being What is Evil? Okay, then we'll be taking a look on Tuesday at the Singinan, on Wednesday at how to redesign your own life regardless of your past. And then, of course, once that is done, then on Friday, on Wednesday, we'll put the ones out for the following week. But if you have a topic, if you've got a topic that you feel would be a good one to look at, absolutely let me know and we'll schedule it in. Okay, that's the easiest way of doing it, at least from my standpoint. I love the fact my eyes work so well on occasion. I just saw something there. Oh, okay. Joe's just asking. I think I already know the answer to this, but when does the paranormal act up most? Summer, fall, or winter? Honestly, it doesn't pay attention to the time frame or the season of the year. Okay. And besides that, the paranormal itself actually doesn't act up. It continues behaving. That's kind of like when does gravity work the most, or when does the sun come out most? The sun at least has a schedule to a degree. Gravity's pretty much static. So is their paranormal phenomena. I mean, this is one of those things where we look at going, there are changes that happen, but what causes the paranormal to behave a little bit more emphatically is when more and more people are focused on it. A prime example would be when you're looking at Friday the 13th or you're looking at Halloween itself. Both of these time frames, society has said, concentrate on the paranormal, concentrate on the different things. Okay. And the reality is, the more people that think about it, the more people that put energy into it, the more viable it is. This is why when we talk about sightings, it's not that UFO activity has increased so much as more people are paying attention to it. Therefore, there's more energy going into it, and especially where UFOs are concerned, more people are looking to the skies. Well, if more people look at the skies, it's kind of like having more people with boots on the ground. The more people on the ground that are paying attention to something, the more likely you are to actually see it happen or discover what you're looking for. So, what I'm looking at is this: how do we turn around and really start to make a positive impact on what's going on in the world around you? Okay. Well, the answer to that is, the more that we focus and the more we concentrate our efforts on the positive side of life, the better off things are going to be. Okay. Now, I mean, there's a lot going on that we got to worry about. Well, worry is probably the wrong word. See, when I look at the term worry, most people go, if we talk about worrying about something, most people go, I'm stressed out about something. But there's another definition for the word worry that I tend to use. Okay. Like, for instance, when a dog worries a bone, okay, they grab it, they work at it, they keep pushing at it until they get the result they desire. Now, for me, that boils down to this: finding a way to help people realize that we actually have something we can do. Okay. The question is, what are you going to focus on? For instance, I think about a month ago, I suggested that people start really taking a look at things and going, okay, am I content with my life? Have I accomplished the things I'm aiming at? In my case, content functionally. Am I attaining the goals and the things I'm working on? The answer is yeah, I'm making headway. Okay. Of course, where technology is concerned, it gets to be a little bit tricky for me. Okay, I'm amazed that so many people don't have problems with it. But something dawned on me. I'm going to open a can of worms here. People have asked me what I think about AI. Well, I'm pretty certain that what people are calling AI and saying this is the program we're using, we're not talking about AI. You're talking about a very intricate yes or no algorithm. Okay. The so-called AI today, you gotta remember, football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You gotta remember, with so-called AI, they don't have an emotional inference. And without that emotional inference, you're not getting intelligence. All you're getting is data processing. Now, yes, I will not debate the fact that the modern computers, and I mean the most advanced, have a staggering capacity to reorganize things and to come up with answers based on available data. But do they have the capacity to take a look at all of the information coming in and go, nope, we're going to take all of this absolute concrete data, discard it, and push it over there, and we're going that way? The reality is computers don't. Okay, now can you fake an emotion? Well, people fake an emotion all the time. So can it be done? The answer is yes. But let me ask you this. Will a computer actually miss, like literally have that frankly unquantifiable, non-quantifiable, inquantifiable, I don't know, stress that comes about when somebody you care about actually goes missing? Okay. Emotional input will cause logic brain to go on hold. And we know this for an absolute certainty. You see it all the time, where people go, "Why would you do that?" And yet humans have been doing it for centuries. Frankly, so have many of the other races. But a computer doesn't do something that cannot be quantified. Granted, here's the funny thing about it. The computer was built on the premise of what a brain does. Okay, but we got to remember that a computer, you can analog optical input, you can analog auditory input, but analoging an emotion is a major problem. Now, with this in mind, we're not talking about a computer being AI. We're talking about a computer doing a logical analysis in a hurry. And because it comes up and says something that some human agrees is the emotional response that they would follow, they start calling it AI. Now here's the thing. And Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'll tell you, yesterday was a bizarre setup for me. I missed the evening altogether again, which, that's just because my schedule goes really wonky. But when we're talking about AI, about artificial intelligence, I look at some of the people that I deal with, some of the humans I've dealt with, and go, yeah, that's about what they've got is artificial intelligence. Because what they're doing doesn't make sense. Okay, now let me ask you this, putting a bit of a twisted idea on it. Okay, here's an emotional idea. One that you can bet your bottom dollar a computer will not make. Okay, years ago, some humans came up with a brilliant idea. Hey, I got a novel idea. Let's drink poison. Let's consume poison in vast quantities. This is something we know will kill us. But let's call this a challenge, and let's try poison on for size. Now this would be akin to an AI going, "Hey, I got a novel idea, guys. We know this will kill us, but how about if we up the electrical input and intake that we're dealing with, and let's try and run our nice little battery on, we're running off of a 110. Let's do something brilliant. Okay, computers, get together, gather around. Let's do this brilliant idea. Let's take in 1.2 gigawatts of energy into our system, because there's a challenge for you." Now, I do not complain about the people that come up with really what I consider ridiculous ideas. I got no problem with that. Okay, but I've seen the outcome of it. You've seen the outcome of it. Okay, so I don't have a problem with people coming up with the idea, but I do wonder about the people that follow their guidelines and go, "Hey, what a novel idea. Let's try this thing that we know is going to kill us." Okay, that the odds of survival are maybe 0.1%. I know everybody I've looked at, they've all ended up really, really ill or really, really dead. But I'm special. That's not going to happen to me. Now, for a computer to go AI and go, I think I'm going to plug into a lightning bolt just to see what it feels like. Can you ever picture a computer doing this? This is artificial intelligence, doing something that all of the logic points against, and you go and do it anyway. Now, I will tell you, I am not a computer programmer at all. Okay, if I can get my computer to do anything I want it to, I consider that a bonus. Okay, but when we're looking at it, you got to ask yourself, what is the purpose? Why are people so interested in making a computer with artificial intelligence? And yet, they seem to be veering severely away from reminding people how to live, how to think, not what to think, but how to think. Okay, why is it that so much of society is pushing for the computer to take over everything? Luna Sparkles, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Boy, is my eyesight working off. Yeah, I have no doubt by the look of that. I'm just looking at what you wrote there. Oh, you're only here for a few. I see. Well, I am glad you dropped in. Some people don't have the time to sit and listen to me babble for, 2 hours. And I can appreciate that. Still working on getting things worked out properly. But I do appreciate you taking the time to share your day with me. Or more to the point, with all of us. Joe's going, I'm glad you do not have a co-host on this. Doesn't suit you. There's another paranormal YouTube channel that I unsubbed from. The guy had a blonde on as a co-host. From my standpoint, that's why I looked at it. I used to run a show where I did have guests come on a regular basis. This is one of the things I did discover. Okay, is that if I've got a co-host, I'm going to have a heck of a problem paying attention to what's going on in the chat room. Now, I wonder if I take that, move that up over here. That, by the way, would refer to my Facebook page. Brought it up over there because that way I can keep an eye on it. And if somebody does text me on Messenger, I can actually keep an eye on it and possibly respond. Now, I keep getting people, and I'm just looking at this. I'm going, I'm looking at the message that I got here that talks about the government having all these wonderful little, these wonderful programs where you can get money that you never have to repay. Now, I keep getting people telling me these, and of course, I look at them once in a while, but that same thought comes to me. Okay, the same thought keeps coming up. And that is, if there are so many of these brilliant ways that the government is willing to give money away you never have to pay back, if there are so many of these ways of becoming wealthy overnight, why is it so many of you are still struggling? Okay, why is it that when that happened, and with all these so-called available options, with so many churches theoretically taking care of the poor and the sick, why are so many people still living on the street? These are the questions that I get and that I ask. And I do watch the chat room to find out. Now, right now, and a matter of fact, I do have one thing here. Let us see. Because I did notice here, where are we? Take you up onto that side. Pop that in there, and where is that? Okay. Shrink that down a little. Yeah, I know you guys understand entirely what that is, don't you? Whoop. And we scroll down and we saw Nathan in here. Well, no, my apologies. Nathan, I don't know if he's showing it. Nathan is here. This is a bonus. First and foremost, first one through the door was actually Chad. Well, here's the link to Chad's archives. Okay. And then we have the link. Who came in here? I know Nathan's in. Chad, Nathan, and yep. And Nathan, the link to Nathan's show. Of course, unfortunately, there's no way I can, that I can absolutely say, look, I'm going to make it to this show. If I say I'm going to, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to book it in. But with both of these shows, absolutely drop by, give them a listen. If you like what they have to say, come right out and give them a thumbs up. Do subscribe to their channel and then share the daylights out of it. If you'd be so kind as to do so. Okay, I am looking at this world going, people are going, here's an easy way to do this. And there are so many different ads coming out, so many emails. Here's a great way to make money. Okay, where you can be majorly rich overnight with no effort. You can drop your weight with no effort. Just here's a shortcut. In case you guys have forgotten, shortcuts have a problem. Okay, if I remember correctly, Hansel and Gretel went for a walk in the woods, and they took a shortcut because it was easier. And look how that ended for them. Now I did write a brand new poem for tomorrow, for August edition of try that again, Positive Perspectives, the newsletter I'm now putting out. And like I said, where are we? Oh, I don't really care about it. Well, I care about it. I love some of the things I get told here. On Facebook. This is why I've only got the one up. Because I don't know how to stream on Facebook yet anyway. Haven't figured that out. But when you take a look at the easy way of doing things, I'll tell you it doesn't work out as well as you might like. But I do have to remind myself, let me grab something here. Not going to make a lot of sense from your end. But short version of this is my one binder. Okay. My binder for word of mouth advertising. I will have to deal with that after the show today. Where are we going? Joanne, I stopped going to church with my dad a long time ago. I did research on the web, and the number of corrupt churches in Michigan alone is terrible. The problem there, I was talking to somebody the other day, and let's go down that rabbit hole. Okay, I absolutely agree with you, Joe. When I was a kid, I had spent 13 years going to Sunday school. My father had become the superintendent of Sunday schools in the Comox Valley. Kimberly, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, when Dad took over the youth group, there was 13 people in the youth group. 13? My apologies. When Dad took over the youth group, and bear in mind, he was in a church. He had 40 members of the youth group. That was adults and youth included. When my dad took it over, okay, he took the teachings of Christ and put them right out in front. And he goes, look, he said, this is a youth group. Therefore, it doesn't matter whether you go to this church, to any church. What matters is if you are between the age of 6 and 18, come and join our youth group. Okay, and we will find a way. We will explore different venues in school, in the church. We will teach you new things. You'll learn about new items. Well, Dad built a youth group that went camping, that included everybody, that taught basic skills. Okay, as in how to build a fire, as in how to deal with people, both adults and children. Okay, and he grew that, over 13 years. Dad grew that church group, that youth group, to 240 people. And his whole stipulation was this. Okay, just like Christ had said, Dad goes, you're all welcome. If it's a youth group, if you are between the age of 6 and 18, come to our youth group. We'll have you welcome. We'll welcome you in with open arms. But keep in mind, this is a church-based youth group. So we are going to talk about things in the Bible. We are going to study things in the Bible. But it's for everybody. Okay. And that went on for 13 years. And every 4 years, it's what I call broadband Protestant. Because every 3 or 4 years, we get a new pastor from a new denomination. Okay, and I'll get back to the denomination thing in a minute. Okay, and one day, 13 years into this, I'd go every weekend without fail. I'd get dressed into what we called Sunday clothes. And rest assured, in case you hadn't noticed, I'm not heavy into the high fashion. Still not. But we'd go. And then one day, this pastor come in. He walks into the youth group. Okay, and he looks at all the people gathered there, and it was just packed. And he goes, if you are not of this specific denomination, of this specific church, get out. Okay, well, my entire family folded up our tents. We all left the church at the same time. And to the best of my knowledge, none of them ever returned. Okay, that was where I lost all focus on what the church was up to. At that point, I became very agnostic. Never forgot, never gave up on believing in God and Christ. Probably believe in them more than you do. And rest assured, that's not actually an understatement. But, I gave up on the church. I became very much agnostic. I turned my back on everything in the church. Didn't go to Sunday school anymore. Didn't even talk about church anymore. And nobody in the family did. Okay. And then I started looking into it. Okay. Because this guy had come in and taken all the teachers and all the teachings and threw them out. Now, where are we here? Just catching up on a few things. Luna Sparkles go, my mom did Lutheran church in Michigan. She's dead now. Well, very belated, I'm presuming. I'm hoping it's very belated. Well, actually, I'm hoping it's recent, but my sincere condolences for your loss. My mom passed away in 2019. And then we go, Luna goes, then I married a Freemason in LA. Okay. And she goes, more cults. Here's the thing. Okay. Now, when I talk about believing in God, I absolutely do. Okay. In my case, I've actually literally talked to him. I'm not asking you to believe that. And I'm not going to sit here and say, God's got a great plan for you. God had one plan. Let's create a world where people and where spirits can experience a physical experience with minimal senses and have total free will. Okay. Now that's the way that fits. So of course I got looking into the various different different churches. Found out something remarkable. And again, don't take my word for it. Look into it yourself. Okay. Now I mentioned I was going to get into the percentage, into the different denominations and what have you. And rest assured, this is a topic that I really looked at and went, why go down this rabbit hole? Because every time I turn around, I talk to somebody that's gone down the rabbit hole in a really backwards fashion. Now, here's what I consider a brilliant question. And this is what shuts most of my conversations down with the people that are out talking about religion. Okay. Number one, I just want you to think about this. If anybody wants to put their response in, that's great. In my belief, in my understanding of God, it's real simple. Now, first of all, who you call God is up to you. What name you use him is up to you. Okay, let's face it. I've been called brother. I've been called father. I've been called husband. I've been called grandson. I've been called a lot more things that are not repeatable in polite company. But whatever name you want to call God by, that's your call. Now, I'm just looking. Joe's going, as far as I know, there are at least 3 different Freemason buildings in my area. One of them right up in town. Well, man, is my eyesight screwed up. Right, and it's right next to the police substation. Here's the thing. The Freemasons are another issue altogether, and we'll get to those. I don't know much about the Freemasons. I look at them essentially as another religion, essentially, and this is why. Okay, you take a look at the Unified Christian Church. Go ahead and look it up yourself. Do not take my words. Don't take my word for it. What I found on the internet, and I'm just going to call it up here just because I'm nosy, and because I finally figured out how to do that. Let us see here. We go add that so I don't lose the one. All I'm writing in is how many, and you can type this in yourself and see the response yourself. How many denominations of Christianity are there? Okay, worldwide. Well, yeah, that's a good way to spell. We're going to call it Christianity. I think we missed a few letters. Of Christianity, how many main denominations? Here's the one I'm going to go with. How many main denominations of Christianity are there? So I hit that. Okay, they've got six main denominations. But if we turn around and just wipe out the main, where are we? See, I'm looking at it here, and this is why I don't do a lot of it. See, when I looked at it years ago, and I'd have to go back, I stumbled across something that claimed 45,000 denominations. Now, for a unified church, this is not what I call unified. Okay, even if we take only 6, you're not unified. Now, the stupid part is it became blatantly obvious about 30 years ago. Okay, became blatantly obvious when you looked at the Irish, with the Protestants fighting the Catholics. Now, the thing there, and my heart goes out to the people caught in that kind of a war. Protestant and Catholic are both Christian. Why fight over what color a shirt he was wearing? Okay, now the reality of it from my standpoint is I live by a very simple philosophy. Okay, and that is simply 3 laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, if we're going to have a unified world, that's the way to do it. I cannot see of another way of making it happen. If you think about it, if you treat people the way you desire to be treated, if you're interested in a amicable communication, and you sit there and you talk friendly to other people, that's what you're encouraging to happen. Doesn't guarantee it's going to work that way. Now, who do we got here? Frostkitten, how you doing? And Jenny White Bear, glad you could join us. iVoices asked, Keith, is Jesus a God or just a really wise human spirit? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of a God. Okay. Was he in direct contact with God, as in the creator of all things? The answer to that, in my opinion, in my experience, was absolutely yes. But he was in mortal form. Okay. Was he extremely wise? Absolutely. Did he go against the bend of things? Absolutely. Where are we here? Or was he just a really wise? Yeah. Now, the funny part is the human aspect of everyone is the body you're in, the physical body. Okay. And every one of you has the same capacity. You have the ability to register right and wrong, good and evil. And we'll get into the true nature of evil tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow being Monday. I think that's what I've got it set for. Monday is the 17th. Yes. Into what is evil. But when we're looking at any time somebody stands up and says, look, would you mind getting along? And ultimately, that's all Christ came to say, was get along. Okay, and I know I'm going to tick somebody off. Okay. Angels in Life, how you doing? Glad you could join us. From my standpoint, really, what is this? I do not know the reference here, but that's okay. So, was Yeshua really wide awake as far as humans went? Absolutely. But there's a lot of things that are misunderstood there. Okay. One thing that was not misunderstood was Yeshua, even when you take a look at the stories in the Bible, you got to remember, a lot of them have been removed. Okay. And yes, I get myself in trouble a lot of the time. But here's the thing. Okay. And don't ask me why I end up going down this road. But like I said, if you've got a question, even if it's not on the topic we're talking about, absolutely ask it. Okay, because there are undoubtedly many more people listening in that'll watch this now or watch this later. Okay, but, so just put the question in the chat room. I will do my best to get to it. It's not called yelling when you put it in caps. It's called letting me know that you've actually got a question. Okay, now, I ask the people that are out really promoting religion and promoting going to their church. I've sent a lot of people back to church. And you're going to sit there going like, why would you do that? Well, because of the fact that many people require some sort of guidance. And some guidance is usually better than none. But the question I keep asking, and I will tell you my answer to the question as well. Okay. Did, in your mind, in your belief structure, whether it's in the church, in a coven, in a temple, just sitting on your own with a beer in your hand on the back deck, in your eyes, did your creator create everything? Okay. Now, that's a yes or no question. Okay. The question is, did, in your eyes, the creator, whatever you call it by, create everything? In my opinion, it's absolutely yes. Now, I've got reason to believe that a lot more than most of you. Okay, I've got memories that date back way further than what the majority of you have. Okay, now that's the first question I ask people, especially if they're standing there going, "Please come to my church." Okay, and do understand, there may be churches out there that are really, really good and really follow proper guidelines. And what I mean by that is they accept everybody, treat everybody equal, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you look like, as long as you behave with respect in the church. Okay. The second question I ask people, okay, is did your God, your creator, create evil? Okay. Now, in my eyes, and this is where I get into trouble, in my eyes, absolutely. Because if you take a look at the term everything, then evil is part of everything. Now, did God encourage you and did he create it? Absolutely. And let's be clear. I talk about God as a he, not because I'm specifically saying it's a he, it should be a she, it should be whatever. It's because I'm lazy. 3 letters, 1 syllable, way easier than the rest of it. Okay, and Luna goes, first question I ask now is, are you fresh out of prison? I'm not quite sure how that fits, but I like it. I take it you're living in a, shall we say, not quite so nice place. Oh, I read that wrong. Callie goes, the yin and yang, the night and day, the good and evil. There's actually the thing you got to remember. Humans talk in dichotomies. Okay, you've got good and evil. You've got night and day. Okay, I think in 3s. You have night and day and everything in between. You have here and there and everything in between. Okay, the reality of it is, from my standpoint, oh, there we go. Yeah, well, I've heard about some of that. I do understand that. I don't watch the news. So when I talk about hearing about some of what's going on, I look at it going, some countries are really being guided down a weird path. Okay, but when we look at, and this is where I came to the conclusion, it was time for me to step out of the shadows and go, okay, I've been here before. I've tried passing this message on over my lifetimes. I've tried passing it on many, many, many times. Okay. And, I caused a lot of stress for myself this lifetime by going, by turning around and going, I'm trying to fit into this world. And I got asked the other day, it was funny. The person looks at me and goes, why are you trying to fit in this lifetime? You've never fit in any lifetime you've ever lived in. Why would you make this one an exception? The moment I came to that conclusion, I went, that's right. That's very true. Why bother to fit in? Do I have to stand in front of people and say, okay, let's do like everybody else and let's go. The world's going to end. The world is going to end in about 5 billion years or so. I'm betting none of you are going to be alive, and certainly not in this physical body. Okay. I could stand here and say we've got major food shortages, major land shortages. We've got major problems with prejudice. We do. But here's the stupid part about it. Globally speaking, Caucasians are the minority. Okay. Now you figure this one out. If God loves everyone, why does this color of your skin matter? Pretty much, I voices. It's kind of comical, but yeah. When I think back, when I look back at some of my lifetimes, even when I was a mail sorter way back, I was actually a Yldrbac. Okay, which is another race that is non-human for obvious reasons. I was essentially a mail sorter. Okay, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching the mail come in, and it was an information director. Okay, information came into a hub just like it does now, your postal service. And we'll use that term a little loosely on occasion, but they do some remarkable work on occasion. But as a Xerxes, information would come in, and the rule was it comes in here, this type of information goes in that slot and goes that way. And I'm sitting there watching this, and for literally millennia, well, in all fairness, it was actually three flips. But I did that. The information came in, I went, okay, it goes in that slot. And I let it go. And one day it dawned on me, and something I'm just going to cut myself off here. We go, where is Nikki? There we are. This is the link to Angels Are Life's stream. Okay. And again, drop in, listen to what she has to say. If you like what she has to say, absolutely give her a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. Emmy, how you doing? Glad you could make it. Emmy's just letting us know. I just got off the bus, had to go get food. 90 degrees out, I can relate to that all too well. Not the having to go get food thing, I'm at home. But the 90 degrees. Now, the thing is, I did that, and then one day it came along and I went, I've seen this same information come through here consistently, and it always ends the same way. So I'm going to take that piece of information, and I'm not going to put it in this slot I was told to. I'm going to put it in the slot next to it and see what happens, just because it didn't make sense to keep doing the same thing. Insanity, I heard best described as literally repeatedly doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. So I did that. Okay, it changed a whole lot of things. Okay, when I was in the Roman Senate, everybody was going, "Oh, we got to treat all the serfs like garbage. They are slaves. They serve us." Okay, and I'm sitting there going, if you keep treating the serfs as second class, if you keep treating them like garbage and treating your friends like gold, you're going to have a rebellion. Now, I spent 60 years, well, really, I spent 40 years in the Senate, okay, as a senator in ancient Rome. And I kept telling them, you keep treating the serfs like garbage, keep imprisoning them for whatever reason you'd like, you're going to have a problem. And then these absolute self-proclaimed geniuses started teaching the people in the arenas, aka the gladiators. They kept treating them like garbage, and then turned around and taught them how to fight. And I told them, I said, look, you keep doing this, you're going to have a problem. It's going to result in a disaster. They wouldn't believe me. Okay. In all fairness, I finally died of old age at somewhere in very close to 60. I forget exactly when, but then there are a lot of things this lifetime I forget. Okay. I turned around. Yeah, Luna says, stay alive. Take a cold shower slowly or jump into the pool. Yeah, I have to, or slowly jump into the pool. Well, that's what I should have been. But anyway, yeah, my taking a cold shower is a good way to stop my heart. And I have proven that many times. Not a fun setup. So in Rome, I tried to explain that to people. When Attila the Hun wiped out my family and took me on board, I wouldn't listen to him either. So yeah, this has been an ongoing problem. Okay, now I'm going to tell you this, though. Okay, when we take a look at the way the world is running, okay, and people go, when is full disclosure going to come out? Well, let me ask you this. The major religions, and there are literally billions of people that follow these. If the billions of people are taught your entire society is based on the idea that we are alone, okay, we are alone. Therefore, there is no such thing as aliens. Okay, that's all the devil's work. Weird part there. If God created everything, why does the devil get blamed for it all? Okay, now football's going. What kind of little people dress like lumberjacks? That would be the Ituarai. Okay, the Ituarai really do. And mind you, and I've got to find the name. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's one of those funny little things I'm working on at this point. Okay, you know them as brownies. Okay, mind you, brownies don't dress like lumberjacks. Brownies, on the whole, dress more like modern day business people. Yeah, Angels goes, I had 2 lifetimes in that period. There was, yeah. I'm really curious about one thing, Angels. Okay, clearly you remember the rebellion, but let me ask you this. Do you remember what happened as far as what the actual dividing line was for what not only necessarily what caused what necessarily caused the rebellion, but do you remember what happened with the soldiers that were being chased? What did the gladiators do to them when the soldiers dropped their weapons? Okay, and it wouldn't happen with all of them by any means. Hey, Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So, I mean, I'm looking at it, and, it's Sunday, it's an open topic, and for whatever reason, I went down that rabbit hole. Okay, going back to the thing, if God created everything, then is it not functional to accept the fact that God created evil? Or am I missing something here and evil isn't part of everything? Okay, so I ask people that are really pushing the idea of go back to church. I will tell you, if you're not going to church and you've got no social support system, then a church is a good place to go. Not to necessarily fall down in whatever you do. Okay, and do understand this. I saw a post 3 years ago, I think, on Facebook, and they asked a very simple question. And this is in my opinion, this is ratio-wise pretty close to normal. The question they asked was, we have 360,000 churches in the United States. Okay, all of them claiming to take care of the poor, to take care of the homeless, to take care of the sick. Okay, and he goes, we've got 360,000 churches in the United States alone. Now, why is it? Okay, with that in mind, why is it that there are 200,000 people living on the streets? Okay, why has the church not dealt with that? Especially when you look at the fact that church temples and buildings are so much bigger than your normal. Okay, now I look at that and go, okay, that's a problem, and this is why. Take a look at it. Running a house, running a business, running a church or a temple, running a corporation, it doesn't matter. It's all calculated on money. But do understand, money is nothing but another form of barter. I don't know about you, but I find it far easier to move a $5 bill around with me than drag a goat, or worse, drag a cow. Okay, so from my standpoint, money isn't the driving factor, but the way I've designed it, and that I've designed my business, is 80% of my net profit. Meaning, I cover the bills I have to keep a roof over my head, to keep food on my table. 80% of everything over that is going back to the community, back to helping the people that are poor, helping the people that are running low on food. Okay. I do not hand money to people that are on drugs. Okay. I will, however, turn around if I've got the spare cash to do it. And I will turn around and buy them a meal. Because, as the saying goes, there but for the grace of God go I. Now, this is what I talk about, I do. If this inspires somebody to do the same thing, this is great. Angels is going, fragments of memories, of gladiators being killed too. Remember a lot of hardcore combat fighting. Also long walks, exhaustion, and vast fighting. Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, the battle was horrendous, but it wasn't just. It was a battle that started in one gladiatorial arena. And no, by the way, yes, I clearly am a rebel at heart in a lot of ways. Not a violent one, not this lifetime. But, okay, I did not start that fight. I knew it was coming. I warned people it was going to come. I mean, I'm just reading something there. But when I take a look at that, I've been telling people for decades, well, literally for centuries in my case. No, millennia, because I started. I remember the Exodus from Egypt, and yes, the Exodus from Egypt has been verified. Okay, I remember many of these things. I'm not talking about I read about them. Okay, I'm talking about remembering them. It just so happens many are now being ratified or being clarified or whatever you want to call it. Okay, but I've decided this lifetime it's time to come back and go, okay, guys, I don't care what color your skin is. I care about how you treat people. And realistically, I care about how you treat me. If you're treating me decently and the people in this chat room are phenomenal. Okay, you guys are living proof that people are willing to actually work together or still have similar values, regardless of where you are in the world. Okay, and if we can do that in this chat room, then it can be done the world over, because this shows that there are people that do get the idea. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, absolutely, Lunar. I do appreciate that. I mean, frankly, I sit still. Well, in all fairness, I don't. But I do appreciate your time. The fact of the matter is, when we're looking at this world, we have a choice. When you look out the window and you see somebody, matter of fact, I heard about something today. Okay, I was told today, guy had pulled into a parking lot. And of course, he went to pull in, and there's a whole pile of, quail on the road in the parking lot. So he came to a stop and slowly edged forward to let the quail get out of the way. Okay. Now, as you know, quail are really cooperative in that fashion. Not. So he stopped the car, waited for them to get out of the way, and then edged all the way into the parking lot. Okay. But it was really slow to enable these birds to get out of the way. Now, quail are of a different species, a different perspective in life than humans are. So that's great. I couldn't have been happier with him, considering what I did a couple of years back, literally 2 years ago. But while he's standing there watching over these quail, a guy started pulling into the same parking lot. Well, this chap steps out in front of the car to block it. Right. The guy rolls down his window and swears at him. And this guy looks at the guy and says, look, you got quail here. They're trying to get out of the way. Guy goes, I don't care about the quail. Well, the individual didn't move. The quail got out of the way. Then the individual got out from in front of the traffic. Now, to me, this is something I absolutely agree with. Okay. I see things on occasion where somebody will stop a car, will stop in the middle of a road to let a duck or a turtle go across. I saw one, somebody literally did that. They saw this tortoise in the middle of the road in front of them. They brought the car to a stop. And let's face it, tortoises don't move in a hurry. So all the guy did was got out of his car, walked around, picked up the tortoise, carried it off the road, and let it go. Right? That's all he did for it. But that was the important factor. You know, now the nice part about it from my end, you know, is I get a kick out of this. You know, I'm watching the chat room here, and people come in, and this is what I mean by such a friendly little group. You know, you guys, you welcome everybody coming in. This is the way that things should be. This is the reason that I am now looking at striving to push the idea of getting people working together. And the reality of it is this: when people start treating nature and start treating the animals in the same way they desire to be treated. Oh, yeah, that is depressing. I mean, the animals do get hit. They really do. But then do understand animals aren't exactly known for driving. The thing that surprises me and it really ticks me off a lot, is when people target animals. Okay. Every now and again an animal will give back, right? Will give back, karmically speaking, in the right order. But when you're looking at this whole idea of, if God created everything, God did not create everything for your benefit. Hate to tell you this. Absolutely, it was created so you could experience the world, experience physical life. Absolutely. But he also gave you free choice. He did not tell you, go out and kill everything available. What he said was, all the food you require is in the animals. Absolutely. He didn't say torture them. He didn't say burn vast areas of forest. Okay. Or go down and shoot an animal and just put the head on the shoulder, on the wall. He said, kill to maintain your food. In other words, yes, take the animals and and kill them for dinner. Absolutely. Thou shalt not murder, meaning don't kill for anything but self-defense and survival. Now, hate to tell you this, but if you take a Bible out, show it to a grizzly bear that's hungry, he's going to eat the Bible and you. Okay, he's not going to pay much attention to whether or not you believe in Christ or whether you believe in something else. The nice little part about it, okay, is this. I'm just reading this. Joe goes, the absolute best restore belief with angels in my life, in my opinion, was ET pregnancies and other stuff she got really deep about. I couldn't help but listen. It was that good. Now, there you go. I really appreciate you pointing that out, Joe. I don't get a lot of time to drop into many of the shows. Okay. I think it might have something to do with the number of books I'm writing, and the amount of things I've got on the go. But I will tell you, when you're listening to a spiritual guide, if they're telling you to go out and hurt somebody, go out and ostracize some group of people, there is a major problem. Emmy's going, I rescued a dog off a freeway once. When I grabbed him, he bit me, but I held on. Yeah, he was probably scared. But on his behalf, in case you hadn't got that message from him, thank you so much for that, Emmy. The reality is, animals, wild animals or domestic ones, when they're scared, will absolutely bite. Okay. You know, the reality of what we got here. I missed one. Um, yeah, going back up here, Lunar had rescued, left a turtle. Somebody else ran over it. You know, unfortunately, this is way too common. You know, it's just an animal. Well, that just an animal had children, may have had children, may have had people it cared about. Not the same way humans do. Different animal, different method. Okay. You know, I remember when I said there was an issue with quail a couple of years back. I had two quails standing on one end of a curve each, and a dozen little guys trying to get up, and they were making no headway. So I took the time to lift them all up and get them in and get them up to the parents. I watched that group of quail go off and live a normal life. Um, Football is asking, do animals create life contracts like humans? Absolutely, they do. Okay, but I will tell you this: a dog does not create an 8-0 Terran year contract. They create the contract for the length of their life. Okay, animals do, plants do, elementals do, otherworldly races do, ancient races do. You get the picture. Even the Caboran, aka the planet itself, created a contract. Okay. Now, this particular planet we stand on, she told me her name, and she told me this centuries back. Her name is Esau. Okay. No, in all fairness, football, few people create the way they're going to die. They create the way they're going to live. Dying is determined based on how you live your life, okay, and the choices you make. Okay. Now, some will create the way they're going to die. And many times it's just, I'm going to die, I'm here to experience it. Sometimes it's a case of I'm going to die however it works. That's part of the experience. Lunar, I could not agree with you more. Lunar goes, I think raccoons are smarter than most humans around me. You know, and I could not agree with you more. I don't think. You know, I used to have a bumper sticker that said, the more people I meet, the more I like my cats. And in all fairness, I still get along with animals better than I do a lot of people. But no, they absolutely create a contract. And again, it's just another corporeal form. Okay. I would lay odds that some of the people that really take to animals, yourself included there, Lunar, it would not shock me to find out that you spent a life as a raccoon. Okay, to have that kind of a rapport with them. You know, Unfortunately, many people will get bit while they're trying to help animals. It's amazing. Like I love the shows where they show people that have helped animals, and then years later they reunite with the animal. Animals remember. By the way, so do people. Whether you're treating them nicely or treating them poorly, you're still going to remember them. Okay. Now, you may not remember the same details as somebody else. And this is why I say, for those of you that have asked if, if they've met me in a prior life, I will tell you where it come to ancient Rome, I spent 4 lifetimes in ancient Rome. Sorry, 5 in ancient Rome. Okay. Now, when you think about that, that's an awful pile of time. Now, have I researched ancient Rome now? No. Quite honestly, yes. Okay. Football's going the way they die is a surprise. Only in as much as if you come in to live life as a deer, okay, something's going to eat you alive. Okay. And not a pleasant experience, but an experience nonetheless. But let us not forget, When you pass away, you'll remember that for a couple of minutes, and then you forget all about the physical world, and you start laying out your next life. Yeah, Henry goes, my father says I moved like a cat. I must have been a cat in a previous life. Would not be a shock to me at all, Henry. Really wouldn't. Okay. I know for an absolute fact, well, fact in my eyes, okay, I lived for a time as a mushroom. I still feel I'm living as a mushroom because so many people keep me in the dark and feed me, guess what? But I spent lifetimes, quite frankly, last flip as a Caboran. Okay. Because I know what it feels like to be connected to a planet. And I am this time. This one, mind you, was a slight overstatement when it happened, but what the heck? And honestly, Henry, if you're well, I know you're 6 feet tall, but if you move like a cat, usually when you take somebody that's 6 feet tall, okay, they're a little heavier footed, primarily because of the distance and the weight. And that's not to say you're overweight by any means. You know, it's a pretty good bet I may well weigh more than you. But then I'm only 5'8", but I've got 40 pounds extra bone. You know, but anybody can learn to walk lightly. Okay. Anybody can learn to do anything they put their heart to, almost anything. I will tell you this: you desire to fly with your physical body in tow without an aerial conveyance, you may be overstepping capabilities at this point. Mind you, if you can pull it off, be my guest. That'd be wonderful. But when we look at the world, understand every single entity, whether it's a plant, an animal, a vegetable. Okay. And honestly, there are people I think fit in all those categories. Okay. And yes, I know that was rude. I got over it. Okay. As I said, I don't have a problem putting my foot in my mouth. I'm quite good at it, really. But every single individual on the planet is of equal spiritual value. And I therefore encourage you absolutely. Okay, absolutely. You can. Now, well, drop that thought altogether. Jenny White Bear goes, Keith, can you read past lives? If so, was I a water creature? Okay. I will get back to that in half a second, Henry. Jenny, I won't go into what, but I will confirm this. Okay. There is no doubt you were a water creature. And I will tell you, not only one lifetime. Okay. Now, you're going to have to look into your own life. I don't tell people this is what you were. Like I said, if you have a suspicion, if I can get corroboration, I will certainly fill you in. And I will simply confirm. Or if I'm getting told no, then I will say I'm not picking it up. Were you a water creature? Absolutely. Which one, which species? That I'm going to leave to your capable hands. But you're not on the wrong track. What I'm being told is you're pretty much online. Holy mackerel. Henry goes, I'm a stick. 135 pounds last time I checked, and last time I weighed. I'm 5'8" and just shy of 200. Okay. I am working and dropping it. But I found a problem that's really holding up my dropping the weight. It's amazing. I keep putting food in my mouth. I'm not going to drop the weight. Okay. The counterpoint to that is I've started exercising to put on muscle, which pound for pound still weighs a pound. And this is the funny thing. Which weighs more? A pound of fat or a pound of muscle? Okay. And you think about it, well, let's face it, neither. But I do like the appearance myself of a more muscular, fit body. Football. Football's asking, why do angels help some people and not others? You gotta ask. Why, that's been asked before. And I'm going to take a story from a long time ago when the angels were asked to help, and they theoretically let it go. Okay, and they left somebody to suffer. Okay, in one person's case, the people had you know they literally they had the one cow, and they were asked by an angel to save the cow. Okay. Well, the angel didn't save the cow, and they went, "Oh, why didn't you save me? I asked for your help. We can't afford to eat now. We don't have the cow, and we can't replace it, right? And now we're going to lose everything." And the angel went, "Everything is done for a reason." Well, they lost the cow, so they didn't need the barn, but they needed the wood to try to warm their house. So what they did was they went to the barn and they knocked a hole in the barn wall. Okay, because they didn't need the barn anymore. Buried in the barn wall was several thousand gold that somebody had buried there. Had the cow not died, they would not have knocked the hole in the barn. Net result, they ended up with the gold, with the money to actually survive. Okay, this is why sometimes this happens. The other thing that happened, that's just one example of what happens. Now, the other issue is if the person is going, God help me, so to speak, or let's say he doesn't believe it's possible, and all he wants is, I want more money, but the guy is turning around and using that money to treat people poorly. Okay, and all he's going to use the money for is to keep enslaving people with whatever he's into. Okay, and he asks for help. The angels may well not step in and help because that money is going the wrong direction. Okay, so by not giving him the money, he can't afford to keep the people enslaved. The people get to move on, get to live their life. Now, he was asking for help. Why not help him? Because what he was doing with that was hurting other people. And yes, there's that neat little question. Well, why do some people get help when they are absolutely treating the world in a poor fashion? Okay, and the reason for that is not all angels are as above board as you might think. Every single angel is not a nice individual. That's just the reality behind it. But there is an old saying, and this one I absolutely live by. When I talk about do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and this is why I tell you, I'm not looking for accolades. All I'm doing is setting an example. Okay, I go to a restaurant or a grocery store, I will pay for somebody else's meal. I may not ask them, I may pay for it and walk out. Okay, and that's just the way it is. Absolutely. By the way, football's going, have you heard that raccoons can knock on doors and windows? Absolutely. I can even tell you squirrels do the same thing, as do birds. These animals know that knocking gets responses. Yeah, absolutely. There are absolutely angels. There are three different types. And this is why I say the theory of relativity that Einstein put out, as in the theory that the closer you get to time and to the speed of light, the slower time moves. Absolutely accurate, accurate appearance of time. Okay, but the theory of relativity was 1 plus 1 equals 3. It is not mathematics. Okay, not everybody. Like I've got a friend. Yeah, football. You were mistaken. angels are a lot of things. They are extremely passionate, both at peace and at war, in helping people, in punishing people. Quite frankly, they're very passionate in the bedroom. Okay, the backbone of angels is passion. Everything they do, they put their all into. But they are by no means perfect. They are given the same choice you are. The difference is this: the majority of angels did choose to go down the lighter path, down the path of do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, or love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay, these are all quotes that date back millennia, since way before Christianity came out. Okay, these are a lifestyle. It's something we've been taught. We're taught that angels are perfect. Okay, well, angels are a lot of things. Perfect ain't one of them. Okay, that's just a reality about it there. Now myself, do I hold my beliefs above? I don't hold my beliefs above other people, but I do hold my beliefs above what other people say my beliefs should be. Absolutely, football. Football goes, do angels get attached to humans? Absolutely, just like humans get attached to animals. Okay, the big difference between angels and humans is this. Ultimately, okay, it boils down to they got great, big, humongous wings that enable them to fly. Okay, that's the big difference. They still have their likes, their dislikes, their art and their artistic abilities, their fashion sense. And rest assured, some of them have a fashion sense that leaves a lot to be desired. Like fashion sense. And coming from me, that's saying a lot. But yeah, people are taught that angels are absolutely perfect. Okay, yet many people are taught God is absolutely perfect. He wouldn't do anything wrong. Well, like I said earlier, I'm a very firm believer that God created evil. If he hadn't created evil, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what evil was. You wouldn't be able to choose good if you didn't have something else to choose. Football goes, so angels have eccentricities. Absolutely they do. They've got eccentricities, they've got fetishes, they've got preferences. And no, all angels are not heterosexual. Okay, they really aren't. Okay, even on Earth, we take a look at the whole issue of being gay. And I personally like the idea of the term gay way long ago, where gay meant you were happy. Okay, but when you look at and don't take my word for it, do your own research. But my discovery was that roughly speaking, approximately 4% of the entire mammalian population is gay. Okay, this is one heck of a miscalculation if you want to call it that. Okay, with some animals, it's even worse. Angels will protect animals. They will protect animals. They'll protect people. They'll protect trees. Okay. They literally, yes, absolutely, they're football. Angels are protectors. Now, some of them take on a different bend. Okay. Some angels take on a very volatile, retributive bend. In other words, if you're an absolutely problematic child, an angel may step in and slap your wrist, if you will. But be forewarned, if an angel's going to slap your wrist, they're likely holding on to a mace. Okay, but again, as football put it, love is love. And it is. If you love life, it applies to everything. Now, it's just foolhardy to think that we can get away without killing. And in somewhere around 300 AD, the church took the term "thou shalt not murder" and altered it to "thou shalt not kill." Well, if you think about that, if you're not allowed to kill, how, pray tell, have we got vegetables on the ground, on our plates? How do we have meat on the table? How do you have fish on the table? Okay. If you're not allowed to kill, none of that can happen, or you're breaking God's law. God said, "Thou shalt not murder." But check back to about 300 AD. Okay. This is how far off kilter we've gotten. Now, the reality of it is this: when you have to kill quickly, kill cleanly, but do understand this means for self-defense or survival. Okay, in other words, I have nothing against hunters. I personally love having hunters around. I just wish I knew one locally where I could get wild meat and where I could get wild deer. You know, because I mean, there is this idea of of limits and what have you that said, I personally prefer wild meat over the domestic raised. Okay, absolutely do. But from my standpoint, it boils down to this: you know, everyone is of equal value. Okay, and I grew up in a world, with the church doing what it was doing. My dad still lived the idea of treat everybody equally. This is why, on top of my parents having 5 boys, 1 adopted sister, 2 foster sisters, mom and dad were also foster parents. Okay, dad ran the youth group, and mom was a Sunday school teacher. Plus, of course, we ran the beach canteen. So I was raised in a family where it was like everybody is equal. Now, we're not perfect by any means. My little brother has listened to me on occasion. He goes, Keith, the way you talk, you're not nuts, but the way you talk does sound like you're nuts. And absolutely it does. But look at the term insane. Okay. For being, according to the psychiatrist, I'm fine. Okay, according to my little brother, I sound like I'm insane. Well, it does. But I'm going to take that word insane and break it down. Insane. Sane being the state of sanity. I look at the world and go, everybody is equal. You treat me decently, I'll treat you decently. You tell me my opinion is wrong, I'm probably going to have a different word for you. Might not be that politically correct. But I do not look. The only time I ever look down on anybody is if I'm standing up and they're sitting down or laying down, or if I'm taller than them. I mean, my youngest son, I can no longer look down on. He's taller than I am. And the reality of it is this. Now I'm going to go back a little further. A couple of years back, I saw a post that was absolutely brilliant in my eyes. This guy, he goes, and it was clear the guy that posted it was a white supremacist. Absolutely. I'm absolutely telling you he was a white supremacist. But here's what he said, and I'm paraphrasing. He goes, if a college is opened up for black people only, it's called racial pride. If a college is opened up for white people, it's racism. If a parade is held for people from the gay community, it's gay pride. If it is held for just white people that are heterosexual, it's called prejudice. Okay. And these are just things that he just pointed them out. Now, clearly, where he was coming from, he had a real solid outlook from the white supremacist side. Myself, I don't see white people as supreme to anybody. Okay. I don't see black people as any different. East Indians, everybody, every culture has their systems that are somewhat better. Oh, heavens no. Most of my family, well, let's see. My if I go from top to bottom, dad was 5'7", mom was 5'10", Ken was 6 feet tall. My eldest brother was 10 feet tall. The next one down was 6 feet tall. My second oldest brother was 5'2". I think he finally made it to 5'3" before he died. Okay. Then I've got one that was 5'10". Myself, I was 5'10.5", dropped to 5'7", came up to 5'8". My little brother, I think, is 5'9". Okay, my sister, I haven't seen her since 1986, since 1993, so I have no idea what she is. Okay, so no, we're all over the place. Almost a foot difference in height. Okay, but all of us do our thing, do things our way. Little bit on the centered side. Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. With my father, and this does happen. Okay, my mom and dad met in March of 1956. Dad was in the military. Mom was still living at home. Okay. Now I don't know. Dad in '56. Yeah, he was all. Well, he was in the military, so he was out of school. Mom and dad met in March of '56. In August of 1956, they got married. Mom moved out of the birth home into the matrimonial home in a province, a full province away from her parents. Okay, mom and dad were married for 60 years. I do not recall them ever having a fight. Christy, how you doing? I do, I apologize for it, but I've got no way of actually spotting them. I'm just looking back up here because I didn't actually even see you come in there, Christy. And my apologies for that. What have we got here? A couple of people I missed coming in. Christy, just to be clear, okay, if you look below this video, you can try reposting them. I will do my best to spot them. But if you look below these videos, you'll find a direct email. As a matter of fact, it'll save you the hassle. If you've got questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. Drop me a line at this email. I go into it regularly. Okay, and send your questions, and I will absolutely do my best. Where are we here? Of course, can't get that to work. That email will get you directly. Yeah, somehow I don't think that's quite the way it works, football, but thanks. Yeah, Christy, if I haven't gotten your questions, absolutely drop them into an email, send them to Inner Enterprises at yahoo.ca. Okay, and I will get back to you as quick as I can with them. Clearly, not until I get done the live feed here. But yeah, my wife didn't have any problem with, or my dad didn't have any problem with my mom being taller. Okay. It's funny, I dated a young lass a few years back, and she asked me the same thing because she was a good 3 inches taller than I was. And she goes, "Don't you have a problem with my being taller than you?" I looked and I went, "No. Why would I?" I mean, granted, I had to look up to her just the way it was. She was taller than I was. But my family was taught very much you don't gauge your opinion, your approach to people. How are we doing, Robert? Glad you could join us. You don't treat people different. Oh, Lunar, what pray tell? Why pray tell? Okay, hopefully you'll fill us in later on why the car was there. But no, when I tell people I treat people equally, it's just the way it is. No, it really doesn't. Whether, from my standpoint, it never did. However, I know a lot of guys that they literally will not date a woman that's younger than them, and a lot of women that won't date a guy that's taller. Okay, I don't know why. It never worked from my end. You know, but when you look at people, it is absolutely imperative that you remember, that people are equal. You've all got the same value. You've all got the same, you've all got your strengths and your weaknesses, your quirks, your oddities. Absolutely, you do. Okay. Hate that. I play with knives. It's an oddity. Some people, now, mind you, this is a letter opener. I'm just too lazy to go over and get my knife to play with. But my dad used to say it would be a real boring world if everybody was the same. From my standpoint, it boils down to this. If I'm not willing to treat people decently, why, pray tell, would other people want to treat me decently? It doesn't add up very well. Football, this is one of the things that I am looking at here. This is one of the things, this is the only place I do it. Well, here and, here on the, on the live stream, in my newsletter, I don't charge for what I do there. Do I charge for consulting? Yes. Do I charge for people sitting down for coffee with me? No. And I've always held, if somebody wants to meet me, I don't travel very far. Okay. I got one restaurant in this city that I go to. I did try out a new one the other day. Great food, great people. Okay. Too many people. Okay. So I'm not going back. Not much. I might go back once in a while, first thing in the morning, because they've got a fabulous breakfast. But as I said, I go to a company in town here, one restaurant. And, when people come into town, it's like, that's the restaurant I'm comfortable with. That's where we're going. And yes, I'm stubborn. I'm stuck in my ways. I've got some very definitive likes and dislikes. The one thing I really have a dislike about is people looking down at people and treating them like garbage. I don't handle bullying well. Okay, and I've got a mouth that'll get me in trouble one day, I'm sure of it. I remember a guy years ago when I was still living in the bar, and this massive guy is tearing a strip off the girl that was with him, telling her she's the reason that he was drinking. It's her fault that he was drinking. And he almost had her in tears. And I'm sitting there, and I finally looked at him, and I went, "Excuse me, but are you really trying to tell everybody in the bar that this tiny little woman is holding you down on the floor and pouring alcohol into your mouth?" And he looks at me and goes, "Well, no, that'd be stupid." I says, "Well, then," I said, "I'm not," and I looked at her, I says, "No disrespect intended." But I turned back to him, I says, "She may be the most annoying person you've ever met. Okay, but you're the one choosing to pick up a bottle. Okay, you're the one upending the thing in your mouth. So quit trying to pass the buck." And people are phenomenal at passing the buck. Oh, in all fairness, football, I don't honestly believe your sister has a drinking problem. By the sounds of it, you put a drink in front of her, she'll drink it no problem. But just ask her. All you gotta do with her, and I've got no sympathy for people with self-imposed injuries. Okay, I was an alcoholic. Okay, I used to drink a 26er a night. I wouldn't blink, and I'd kill it off. It didn't matter what it was. Okay, so I know full well you can walk out of it. But all you gotta ask your sister is this: next time she opens her mouth and makes any comment going, "It's your fault I'm drinking." Okay, Emmy goes, "I like people who are different. They're very interesting." All people are interesting. I do agree with you there. Some of the weirdest people I've ever met are absolutely fabulous. But no, when when your sister starts saying it's somebody else's fault, my life's miserable, that's why I'm drinking. No, you're miserable because you're drinking. But all you do is ask her, is anybody holding you down and pouring the alcohol in your mouth? Okay, is anybody doing that? Okay, now she's going to come back at you and she's going to look at you and go, well, no. Well, then ain't anybody else's fault. People are annoying. And rest assured, I could list off all kinds of things that annoy me about people. Here's the thing. Now, I myself have been diagnosed, yes, with temporal dissociative disorder. Absolutely. The person closest to me in the way of friendship, my best friend, is a clinical paranoid schizophrenic. Okay. He's absolutely right off his nut. And I knew him. I met him before he was medicated. Now he looks at it and goes, I'm a much happier person because I'm on medication. So people, if you're on medication for whatever, if you're feeling better, this is not an indication to quit your medication, because the odds are that medication is what's making you feel better. Okay. I love getting into conversations with people who think differently. I have a problem with getting into conversations with people that are absolutely of the opinion and that they are absolutely right, no matter what you tell them. And I grew up with people like that. But the fact of the matter is, you can learn from every single person around you. Now, it's my hope that, and I'm not going down I'm going to put my foot in my mouth sooner or later. Okay. But I looked at it. I originally went, I'm not touching the path on what is going wrong with the spiritual path that people are on. When you got billions of people sitting there telling you that, you got somebody standing at the front of a church going, gay people are evil. They are a mistake. You're not welcome here. This goes against everything that was supposed to be passed on. Okay. The reality is who you love, what you love, as long as you treat people decently, treat them the way you desire to be treated. This is the sign of love. This is not a question of gender. Okay. But you got, humans on the whole, you're finding more and more ways of separating yourselves, of focusing on the differences. It's time to focus on the similarities. Okay. When I was growing up, I used to get bullied because I was wearing these. Reality of it is, I couldn't see without them. Well, I have a bad habit when I hear that. I have a bad habit of sticking my foot in it. I had a guy one day, he looks at me because he asked if we'll try that in English. He was heading for Vancouver, and this was right in the middle of the mess. He was going to Vancouver for testing. I says, yeah. I says, and unfortunately, you are right. You are ill. He goes, well, you don't even know what I'm going through. I says, no, technically you're right. But I says, you're heading for Vancouver, and you've already said you're going down for testing. He goes, yeah. He says, but you've got no idea what. I said, let me put it this way, and you'll find this out for certain. You already suspect it. You'll find out when you get to Vancouver, which, by the way, is about 4.5 hours away from me. I said, you'll find out. You do have an illness. Okay. It's spelt with 4 letters, and the third one's a D. And the guy looks at me, and he goes, how did you know? I said, because frankly, that's what you are. He goes, you don't care that I'm gay. I said, what difference does it make to me if you're gay? I said, the reality is I'm not. Okay. I said, I can even handle a polite pass from a gay person. A polite, decent pass. I can absolutely handle it. I've had it happen before. I gave up counting how many times. The reality is, a polite pass I can handle. If I get a second one, I'm not likely to be anywhere near so polite, much less diplomatically correct or politically correct. Okay. The sad part is, I actually asked a priest one day. He was walking down the street, and I stopped him. I looked at him, and I says, "Excuse me." He goes, "How can I help you, my son?" I says, "I'm just curious when you're going to start doing God's work." And he goes, "What do you mean?" He says, "I'm always doing God's work." I says, "Really?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I'm a priest for such and such a church." I says, "Well, that's good." I said, "Doesn't change the fact." I said, "I kind of thought you were a priest given the attire." But I said, "It doesn't change the question. When are you going to start doing his work?" And he goes, "Well, I do it all the time." I says, "Really?" I said, "Let me put it this way. I spend a lot of my time down at the skateboard park dealing with a lot of troubled kids. Okay. I have never seen one of your people come down there. Ever. I've never seen you down there at all. Right. And you walk by this park and totally ignore the homeless. You totally ignore the people that are having trouble. I never see you down there." He goes, "Well, we've got people that, we encourage people to come to church." I says, "Really? You ban the poor, you throw the gays out, and if they're the wrong color, you tell them they're not welcome. What's the all inclusive? Is this just a question of if they're white and believe exactly what you're saying, they're welcome, and other than that, they're not?" So I'm going to repeat, when are you going to start doing God's work? And he turned around and he walks away. Like I said, I've got a mouth. I absolutely admit it. Am I perfect? Do I expect you to believe everything I say? I'd be absolutely shocked if you did. Okay. I do encourage you to double check what you're hearing. Okay. Will I continue to tell people, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you? Absolutely. In all fairness, I have been killed in past lives because of standing up and saying that. Okay. And I gave up counting the number of times I got either killed or imprisoned for coming out and saying, I don't care who you are, you got to be treated decently. Treat people nicely. I've done this for lifetimes. Okay. I wasn't always nice. Even when I was a thief, though, I would steal from the people that got cocky. They buy a lockbox and go, I've got a lockbox. It's totally unpickable. Right. So I'd go and pick the lock and then leave a message for them. Didn't care how much money you had. You were wrong. And if they were decent people, I would take the money out of their lockbox, leave that message, and I put the money that was there somewhere in the house that was easily findable. Usually that meant putting it in underneath the pillow. Okay, in that time frame, usually I put the money in a bag and put it under the pillow because most of the beds were just straw. But if the guy was a creep and was treating people like garbage, I would take all the money he made and that he saved, all the money that he had. Okay, if he was poor, I'd clean him out and give the money to people that I'd keep I'd keep enough to make sure I had money to survive a couple of weeks. Okay, if he was poor, I'd clear it out and distribute the money to people that were actually genuinely nice. Okay, let's say he were wealthy and he had piles of gold. Okay, just chests of it. And he was treating people decent. I'd take all of that money that was his, move it somewhere else in the house, leave that message about the lockbox. You were wrong. And leave it alone. Okay, I'd leave it there. They'd find it again. They didn't lose any money. Okay, but this is the way I've been my entire life. And when I mean my entire life, I'm going back into past renditions of reality. Okay, so I've always been this way. And it's the way I intend on being. I'm currently the empire I'm building, and yes, I do mean empire. I am 60 years old, and I finally got it through my head. The only way I'm going to make this work is by working inside the system. Get in touch with people and go, okay, You guys are, you may have different ways of looking at the world, but as long as you, well, you do have different ways. Okay. I don't care who you crawl into bed with, except one condition. Okay. With my other half, and I told her flat out, she ever crawls into bed with somebody else, we're done. There will be no reconciliation. I've talked, as a matter of fact, I'm in the middle of helping talk somebody back into a stable relationship that did have a problem with fidelity. Okay. I don't have a problem helping people do that. I just won't. Hey Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And by the way, I did actually talk to uh yeah. He goes, what did I walk in on? A very different setup. But I did talk to the people at Wings, and they absolutely have said, yeah, we definitely have a place. They will have a place set. You know, they just said, give us a little bit of a, just give us a little bit of a heads up. We'll make sure you've got a seat. The table I'm referring to, okay, that I usually sit at, we did confirm we'll seat 5 people quite comfortably. If there's a problem, we'll just move to a 6-seater. Okay, just a little bit of heads up, that's all. But yes, in case you hadn't noticed, I am absolutely looking forward to meeting you. And bizarre as this is going to sound, one of the things I am absolutely going to do, I hope you don't mind, is I'm going to bring a couple of questions that I do have regarding quite literally what you do for a living and certain terminology, certain name brands, etc. Yes, although not with the Z. It's Wings, as in spelled with an S. But yes, it is a chain. Okay. Now I don't speak for the whole chain. I speak for the one restaurant I go to. Okay. I mean, that's just the way it is. No, definitely not a green label. It's red. The Wings banner is in red. I don't actually have one here. But the whole banner is Wings in red, but it's spelled with an S. I don't know the Wings brand with the Z or with the Z, depending on who you want to talk to. Okay, like I said, I've never. Oh, I don't order. I actually go there. I actually don't order takeout from many places. If I go there, I'll take it. And sometimes I'll go get it and bring it home. You know, sure you can, Derek. If you go to a place and you try eating chicken wings before you take them off the chicken, that chicken is going to argue. I don't think I saw you come in before, by the way, Philip. But welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. The way I look at the world is this: I'm going to treat people the way I desire to be treated. It's that simple. I was going to phone the printer today, and I'm like, but they're closed, so it won't do me any good. So I look at it, I have decided it is time to step out into the spotlight and say, hey guys, it's time to put down the guns. And I don't mean put down your hunting guns. For pity's sakes, you need to be able, you have to have a gun. I don't know about you, but trying to take down a deer with a knife is going to be a problem. First of all, try catching up with it. I do actually like those two flavors. My usually I end up eating the roasted Italian red pepper. I do like salt and pepper. And the thing is, I prefer to get wings that aren't really sticky, that aren't really gooey. Okay, that's just me though. But I've not tasted. I've not had any. I had one meal at this restaurant that I didn't like, but they don't carry it anymore, so I don't really care. you know but the fact is, I walk into a restaurant, I will treat the people decently. I do my best to remember the names, And this is why I say some of you I've remembered your names offline, but I find it easier, first of all, to just refer to it online. Yeah, I don't like the spice. Football is going. Football likes mango habanero and lemon pepper. Okay. Personally, I don't like the really spicy ones. Okay. They're, for me, uncomfortable to eat. And therefore, I don't bother. You know, they do have wings at this place. There is one set of wings they've got that they literally, you have to sign a waiver to eat them. You know, and they've got a lot of people that eat them. Myself, I won't even touch them. Won't even look at them. Well, looking at them, I don't have a problem. But no, the thing I am hoping that I'm aiming to do, and I'd love to get to the point, and this is way, way different than what I thought when I first started doing posts. I looked at when there are people out there that'll stand in front of a crowd and they'll go, "The world's going to die. We're all going to go into war. We're heading for famine, and every one of you is going to hell, except a very few number. The God's going to come down and go, 'Oh, you're special. Oh, you're a nice person.' This isn't going to happen. God's not going to come down and go, 'You're special.' Okay, ain't going to happen. But I figure if billions of people are willing to sit there and listen to somebody go, 'The world's going to end and you're all going to die,' if billions of people are willing to listen to that, why not push the button on the other side of it and get billions of people to listen to somebody stand up and say, 'Hey, there is a shot. We can turn this world around. If we work together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody.' Now, there will certainly be some of you that don't like it. Now, I don't mean you that are in the chat room, because I'm laying odds if you had a problem with it, you wouldn't be here. Okay, but do I encourage you to reach out and let people know that, yes, this world is changing. It is worth putting the effort into, and we can turn this into a better world for virtually everybody. It's up to you. Okay, it really is up to you. From my standpoint, I'm looking at it going, it's time to make a change. Yeah, years and years back, Henry, there was a chap, and I forget what his name was. Okay, but he came on, he was an evangelist. And I didn't have a problem with him doing this. Okay. Yeah, I don't doubt that. I will touch on that in half sec, Philip. This guy, and I forget what his name was, Jimmy, I think, but he was an evangelist, and I remember him coming on TV and going, "I have to have," and now this was on Sunday, "if I don't have $8 million in my bank account by this Friday, God's going to call me home. Please send money." Now, I had no problem with him doing that. What I had a problem with was the concept that so many people sent him their hard-earned money because God wanted him to have it. God doesn't care about money. Why would God care about money? Okay, you think about it. God goes, "I got money. Better yet, I got a planet." Why would God care whether money is there? Okay, that's just the reality behind it on my end. Now, Philip, you said that Gur in German means spear. He says the Romans were not happy with those spears defeating their legions in battle. In German, also meaning spearman. Absolutely. Then we go down. Yeah, and Philip goes, "Don't throw spears at the Romans." I would recommend you don't throw spears at anybody. But, what the heck? Jenny goes, "Keith, do you think we are flipping between dimensions?" Absolutely 100%, and there's very little I'll do that with. No. Everything that's going on in this world, every entity you ever see in this world, Every entity you ever hear about in this world is third dimensional. Now, some things do move at a faster vibratory rate and therefore appear to disappear. Okay, but there is no ascension happening. Earth is not, people are not moving from the third dimension to the fifth. Somehow they missed the fourth, but they're not moving to another dimension. You're stuck here for the duration of your life. What you do with it is up to you. Okay, there is no issue here of rising to a higher dimension. That happens so far down the road. Can I explain it? Certainly, but not for the time being. Not at this hour. Okay, but when you're looking at it, is, RP, is Earth moving into the fifth dimension? No. And there's a lot of people that'll tell you it is. They're allowed to. I'm not about to agree with them. There's a lot of people that'll tell you the Earth is flat. Tell you they're wrong, that I will not agree with them either. Okay. And then, of course, I go down here, and Henry just goes, well, maybe God can't meet his phone bill. No, God's a telepath. I don't think he uses the phone much. Although I will tell you, go back to the 1970s. There was a movie called Oh God, starring George Burns. Okay. And George Burns put it very nicely. From his standpoint, he went, he literally is sitting there going, no, everything is fine. I mean, in the courtroom, he got told to put his hand at some point to put his hand on the Bible and swear to God he was telling the truth. So he goes, I such and such and so forth and what have you, hereby, he goes, I swear to me that I'm being honest. The neat part about it, I get letters from people asking me to go back to a church, go to a church where they worry about what I'm wearing. And like I told them, the day I start worrying, the day God tells me I'm dressing poorly, I might just pay attention. The day I start worrying about what a human tells me I should be wearing, providing I'm wearing clothing that is appropriate in public, absolutely, I will sign myself into the local nut house and find out what went offline. Oh, that's terrible, Philip. Philip goes, that television evangelical makes me want to keep God from getting my phone number. Death caused by call from God. I'll tell you, you get a call from God, you're not getting it on the phone number. Okay. I've been approached by a number of people about what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't have a problem. When I was married, my other half my wife at the time says, we're never going to church because you'll call the pastor on his sermon. And, I do my best to bite my tongue. Here, not so much, apparently. But, guys, much as I could undoubtedly carry on ranting and raving and what have you, because we're hitting the 2-hour mark, I will be back again tomorrow. Okay, again, if you do like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. We've got to get this message out to people that this world can be a better place if we work together. Okay, tomorrow I will be back, and when I come in tomorrow, we're going to discuss about what is evil. Okay, that's just, and now again, it's my observations. And as one person put it cost me a friendship. She goes, well, that's just your opinion. Everything that comes out of my mouth is my opinion. But I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.